Hello students, welcome to Vidya Lakshmi YouTube channel. This is Gajalakshmi, biology facilitator, and in this session we are going to see chapter 13, our environment in class 10. So this chapter will actually give you the overall introduction about the environment, what are the different components of environment and how human beings involved in depleting or destructing the structure of this environment. So here is the overview. So when I tell you the word environment, okay, so what is environment? It is nothing but everything that's around us. So whatever living things, whatever non-living things which are present around ourselves is called as the environment. So that will include both living components as well as the non-living component. So in this chapter, we'll be studying about what are the biotic components or what are the abiotic components which are present in our atmosphere. And then we are going to study about the interaction between this abiotic and abiotic component. What is meant by an interaction? It is a kind of a dependence on each other. So these biotic components depends on abiotic components for their survival. And also the abiotic components depend on biotic components for their nature or the replenishment. So in this chapter, we are going to study about their interaction. The first session will include about the biotic and abiotic components, and the second part we are going to study about the interaction which is happening between them. And in the third part, we are going to study about the food chain and food web that is existing in nature. And the last part is the impact of the human activities on environment. So under that, we are going to study about the most common thing which you might have heard in the day-to-day news, that is the ozone layer depletion. And also we are going to study about the waste disposal or the waste management disposal. So here, the first part of the chapter is dealing with the topic called as ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? All the interacting organisms in an area together with the non-living constituent. So all the living component, in the sense it is the biotic. Okay, so again biotic means it is the living. So all the interacting organisms surviving in an area depending on the non-living component together constitutes a term called as the ecosystem. So generally telling, it is an area where you have living and abiotic components present together. So here example, if you see, forest, pond and all will come under the ecosystem. So based on the nature, we have two types of ecosystem. One is natural ecosystem and other one is artificial ecosystem. So as the word tells, natural ecosystem means it is already present in the nature. Human beings, we don't have any intervention in creating it. So we don't have any role there. It is already existing in nature and we are going to live there, that's it. So here if you see, look at the definition. The ecosystem which exists in nature on its own, it is already present. Okay, that is called as natural ecosystem. So if you look at the example, forest, lake, ocean, all these are already existing in nature. We are not creating it or we are not at all involved in the creation of that. So that is why it is called as the natural ecosystem. And then we have the next term, artificial ecosystem. What do you mean by artificial? It is man-made. Something which is created by another person is called as the artificial. So here children, you have artificial ecosystem. As it is created by human being, it is called as the man-made ecosystem. So this is completely created by the human being. For example, if you see crop field is nothing but the agricultural land. The farmers are actually involved in plowing the land and then sowing the seeds, all the steps, agricultural land is completely under the control of the farmer. We are only creating it. That is why it is coming under the artificial ecosystem. So apart from that, if you see aquarium, the real time picture is given here. Aquarium is the one where we artificially grow the aquatic species, maybe for the economic purpose or for the decoration purpose or for the ornamental thing, whatever, it's our wish. So if we are growing this aquatic species in a controlled environment, this is coming under the artificial ecosystem. So here the first part, ecosystem. Ecosystem means it's an area where you have an interacting organisms living along with the abiotic component. And here we have two types of ecosystem, natural ecosystem and then artificial ecosystem. So natural means it is created, it is already existing in nature, created already in the nature itself. Artificial in the sense, human beings, we are involved in creating that. That is the first part. Now, what are the different components of an ecosystem? Components in the sense, what are the various things present over there? As we have already discussed, Under the component we have abiotic components. Abiotic in the sense very simple. Abiotic means non-living things which are present in the environment. Abiotic denotes non-living thing. So here biotic denotes the living things which is present in our environment. So we have two major components of an ecosystem. Abiotic components, biotic components. Abiotic components, example you see, air, water, land. Apart from that you can take sunlight, temperature, wind. Everything will come under the abiotic components. Then biotic components include living beings as I told you. So it will include plant species, animals, and apart from that all the microorganisms which are present in nature will come under the biotic components. Now based on the food habit or the food which we eat, these biotic components are mainly categorized into three major types: producers, consumers, and then the decomposers. So on what category? It is based on the food habit of the organisms. So if you take producers, right from the lower class we are studying about the green plants. These green plants are nothing but the producers. Why it is called as producers means those organisms are capable of synthesizing or producing their own food by the process. As you all know, it is the photosynthesis process. So through photosynthesis they are able to prepare their own food. That is why it is called as the producer. The other group of organisms are consumers. Consumers are present in large amount. So consumers, as the word says, consumers are the organism which don't have the capacity to synthesize their own food. Then how it will survive? So it will be dependent directly or indirectly on the other species for their food material. And then last one is decomposers. Decomposers, again they are not able to synthesize their own food. They will act upon the dead and decayed organic matter, and from them they will consume the nutrients for their survival. So here if you see, for producers we have green plants and then the cyanobacteria as the major example. So this green plant, BGA. BGA means what? Blue-green algae or cyanobacteria or the major example for producers. Under consumers, again we have four different category of organisms: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and then the parasites. All the four species, they don't have the capacity to synthesize their food. That is why it is coming under the consumers. And the last one, as I told you, decomposers, again they are depending on the dead and decayed organic matter for their survival. Okay. Now, so here the deep description is given, okay, for all the categories of organism. As we have discussed already, under producers we have green plants and then blue-green algae. So why it is called as producers? They can able to produce their own food, and for that they are dependent on the abiotic components such as carbon dioxide, water, sunlight. Okay, that is the major requirement for the photosynthesis process. And again under consumers, as I told you, look at the keyword given here: directly or indirectly depend on the other species for the food material. That is the major key point for your consumers. So here consumers are again categorized into four major types. The plant eating organisms are called as herbivores, example goat and deer. Apart from that many organisms are there. And the flesh eating organisms are called as carnivores, example tiger, crocodile. And the organisms which will consume both plants and animals are called as omnivores. And the last one is the specialized group of organisms called as parasites. Parasites are the organism which is completely different from all the three major categories. Why? Because these parasites are the organism which will be surviving inside the body of the host or on the surface of the host. They will absorb the blood or the nutrient directly from the host source. For example, if you see cuscata, which is otherwise called as the amerbel, as you all know. Apart from that, we have lice, ticks, leeches, tapeworms and all will come under this parasite. And the third group of organisms is called as decomposers. So here it will act upon the dead plant and animal species for their survival. And example for this decomposers are microorganisms such as bacteria and the fungi. And here what is the main advantage of decomposers in our ecosystem is they will be helpful in the replenishment of the natural resources. What is this replenishment? Refilling of the natural resource, you can tell. In case if the soil is having the nutrient. When plants are growing, plant will absorb the nutrient from the soil and there will be an empty place created. How to refill it? It is because of this decomposes only. Once the organisms are dead, they will act upon them and they will add the nutrients back into the soil. That is why we use the term decomposes will help in the replenishment of the natural resources. So far we have studied about the ecosystem and what are the different components of an ecosystem and then the different types of ecosystem which exist in nature. So here we are going to study about the interactions which is taking place in the ecosystem level. What type of interactions? There is always an interaction between the biotic and abiotic components as we have already discussed. And also there is an interaction between the biotic components itself. So what is that? It is nothing but the food chain. So chain means you have something coming as a sequence. So here food chain in the sense, no, it is a series of organisms. Series means you have an order or sequence of an organisms. Organisms are arranged in an order. So food chain is a series of organisms in which one organism will eat up another organism as the food. For example, no, a simple food chain for your easy understanding. Here you have grass. Grass is the producer. So this grass is consumed by the deer. So deer will come under the herbivores. Now this deer is further consumed by the lion. So what is happening here? Grass is the organism becoming food for the herbivore and again deer is the organism becoming food for the lion. So here you have an interaction among the species. So one organism is taking another organism as the food material. So this is called as the food chain. So if you take a food chain, various steps are present. Okay, it is not like food chain means you have a sequence of organism, right? So you can't expect 1 or 2 organisms to be there. Maximum 3 to 4 or even 5 organisms will exist in a single food chain. So in that food chain, if you see the various steps, you have a transfer of energy taking place. In each and every step of food chain, you will have the energy getting transferred or the energy will be moving from one level to another level and that is called as the trophic level. So in each and every step of food chain, the energy is being transferred and that is called as what? Trophic level. So if you see the food chain here, this is the food pyramid or otherwise called as the ecological pyramid that exists in the nature. Pyramid means you have this, all this triangle shape comes and if you are marking something, it is called as what? Pyramid. So here, since it is existing in the nature, it is called as the ecological pyramid. So in this ecological pyramid, if you take, there can be maximum 4 to 5 trophic levels. Always the first trophic level will be occupied by the producers. The first trophic level will be occupied by the producers. The second trophic level by herbivores. The third trophic level by carnivores and the fourth trophic level will be occupied by the top carnivores. So if you take any food chain, maximum 4 to 5 trophic levels will exist in the nature. Now let us see some examples for the food chain which is most commonly asked even in your board exams. So here if you see, no, this is an example for the terrestrial food chain. So what is happening here? The plant species, okay. The plant species such as grass you can take as an example. The plant species is consumed by the insect called as the grasshopper. Grasshopper is again consumed by frog. Frog is consumed by the snake and snake at last is consumed by the hawk. So this is an example of a food chain where you have the involvement of 5 major trophic levels. Up to 5 trophic levels you have the species getting existed here. And the second one, if you see, plant is again consumed by deer and this deer is consumed by the lion. This is also an example of the food chain which is taking place in the forest. And again if you see the aquatic surface here, algae. Algae is the microorganisms which is present in the water bodies that have the capacity of photosynthesis because of chlorophyll pigment, as you all know. So this algae will be consumed by the small aquatic insects. Those insects are eaten up by the fish and this fish can be eaten up by the bird. So if you see, no, there are the food chain example with 5 trophic level. Here you have 3 trophic level and here you have 4 trophic level. So maximum up to 4 or 5 trophic levels, you have the sequence of organisms present here. So if you want to see, okay, one particular chain in depth. Here you see plant. Plant comes under the producer. Okay. Now plant is consumed by the grasshopper. This grasshopper is occupying the second trophic level, and this is the primary consumer. So first trophic level is occupied by the producer. Second trophic level is occupied by the primary consumer, and here third trophic level we have secondary consumer present called as the frog, and fourth trophic level we have tertiary consumers, snake, and the fifth trophic level we have the top consumer called as the hawk. So this particular last trophic level species are there, no? Mostly it will not be eaten up by any other species. So you don't have any other trophic level beyond 4 or 5. Then why that beyond that 4 or 5 we don't have means we have a specific reason for that, which we will be discussing now. So there are some criterias. If you look at the food chain and trophic level, no, there are some standard criterias or the fixed statements are there. In that, no, the first one is flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. The energy will be flowing in a particular direction, that is single direction. What is that single direction? So it states that, okay, so here if you take, no, sun is the ultimate source of energy. For all the living organism in an ecosystem, sun is the ultimate source of energy. So from the sun, plant will absorb the energy during the photosynthesis process. So here the plant will absorb 1% of the sunlight, only 1%. Even though you have much more amount of solar input is present, the plant will absorb what? Only 1% of the solar radiation. So from the plant, the organic matter or the energy content will go to the next level organism, deer. So this deer will transfer the energy to the lion. So what is the statement here? Flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. That means it will flow only in the single direction is the statement. Yes or no? So it is passing in the single direction. Then what will not happen is the energy will not be reverted back. That means no, the energy will not go back from the primary consumers or herbivores to the plant. Again from the plant the energy cannot go back to the sun. So it is nothing but the energy cannot be reverted back. The energy cannot revert back or it will not flow back in a reverse direction. That is why we are using the term flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. So here unidirection means they will follow the single direction. So what is the statement here? From the sun, the energy will come to the plants during the photosynthesis process. From the plants, it is going to the primary consumer, from primary consumer to secondary consumer, and from secondary to tertiary consumer. So what is the statement? The energy will not be reverted back. It will not come back from the primary consumer to the plants, and again it will not come back from the plant to the sun. That is why the statement given is flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional in nature. And if you see the second statement, green plants will capture 1% of sunlight and convert it into the food energy. Food energy is nothing but chemical energy. So green plants will absorb only 1% of sunlight, that too for the photosynthesis process. Once the photosynthesis process is completed, what is the net product we will get is the glucose. So using that 1%, they will produce the food molecule called as the glucose. Then next one is the 10% law. This 10% law is nothing but, see, only 10% of energy is transferred to the next trophic level. The remaining 90% energy is used in the life process such as digestion, growth, reproduction by the present trophic level. What is that? See, the plants are getting 1% from the sunlight. Now, the plant will utilize 10% of energy from that, and remaining 90% will be used for their own body mechanism. Only 10% of energy will be passed to the next trophic level. For example, here you see plants are there, here you have deer, here you have lion. Now the plant has obtained 1%, okay, in that food materials were produced. Out of that 1%, after utilizing the 90% of energy, 10% alone will go to the next trophic level called as the primary consumer. In that 10%, again primary consumer will utilize, and again 10% will go to the next organism. So what is the overall conclusion? every organism, okay, whatever amount of energy they are receiving, 90% they will use it for their own life process. For example, for their digestion purpose or for their own growth purpose or for their reproduction purpose, they will use. Remaining 10% will go to the next level organism. So 90% will be used by the present level organism. Only 10% will go to the next level, and that is called as the 10% law. This 10% law was proposed by the scientist called as Linneman in the year 1942. He was the first person to propose this 10% law. So here, along with the example, if you see, no, the plant is producing the food material, and from there the grasshopper has received. Grasshopper, how much it has received? 10,000 joules of energy. In that 10,000 joules, it will use the 90%, only 10% will go to the next level. So if you calculate, how to calculate? So from the 10%, if I want to calculate, from the 10,000 joules, if I want to calculate means you have to multiply it by 10%. So here if you cancel it, no, you will get 1000 joules. 1000 joules will go to the frog. Then after utilizing again, 100 joules will go to the snake. Again from snake, 10 joules will go to the hawk. So here if you see, no, 90% will be used by the present tropic level organism, and only 10% is moving to the next level. So based on this concept only, Linneman in the year 1942 proposed this 10% law. This is often repeated, very short answer question which will be asked in the board exam. So here overall if you take the ecological pyramid, no, on increasing the tropic level, so this is first tropic level, second, third, 4 and 5. On increasing the tropic level, the amount of energy will go down. On increasing the tropic level, the number of organisms will also go down. That is why, because of this progressive decrease in the energy, there is a less amount of tropic level. That means 4 to 5 tropic levels only can exist in the nature. In case you think, here already 5 tropic levels are there. 5th tropic level has got only 10 joules. In case if it is moving to 6th tropic level, you will have the availability of only 1 joule, and 7th tropic level it will come 0.1 joule. So with that 0.1 joule of energy, no organisms can able to survive. That is why the food chain will have maximum 4 to 5 tropic levels in nature. So if you can have a clear view here, due to this gradual decrease in the energy, food chain consists of maximum what? 3 to 4 tropic level, not beyond that. So again have an overall view here. This is the ecological pyramid. First tropic level occupied by the producer, second by primary consumer, third by secondary consumer, and 4th tropic level by tertiary consumer. So this producer will get only 1% of energy from the sunlight, and on increasing that they will pass 10%. So here if it is 1000, it will become 100, 10, 1 joule here. In case if there is one more tropic level present, then what will happen? Only 0.1 kilojoules will be available. That is why the food chain is not giving space, okay, for the next tropic level beyond that. So what and all we have discussed under food chain? Food chain flow of energy is always unidirectional. That means energy won't be reverted back. And then if you see the availability of sunlight, only 1% will be absorbed by the plant, and then 10% will be transferred from one tropic level to the next tropic level, okay. And here in the food chain there exists a concept called as biological magnification. Normally when we use the microscope, no, microscopes are being used, okay, to view the microorganisms which we can't see with our naked eyes. So there we used to use the word called as magnification. Magnification means you have higher power. Magnifying lens will have the higher power. Here biological magnification in the sense, no, magnification means you have accumulation of more and more substance. Accumulation of more and more substance. So what the scientists have found is, if you take any food chain, the basic chemicals are the harmful chemicals which we use in our environment, such as pesticides. Okay, once we are adding it into the soil, these pesticides is directly entering into the food chain at different tropic levels. What is that? In case, no, if the pesticide is sprayed over the producer, from the producer it will go to the primary consumer, from primary to secondary and from secondary to tertiary. So how they are defining it? The concentration of harmful chemical increases with every next trophic level in a food chain. Suppose if the plants are observing the toxic chemical from the soil, then from the plant it is going to the deer. From the deer it will go to the lion, or from the plant it may enter into the goat, or through the goat it may enter into the human being also. Why it is entering, why it is not digested in our body means our body or the plant system don't have any enzymes to break down these harmful chemicals. So what is happening? These chemicals are slowly accumulated inside our body, and human beings are the top carnivores. They will have maximum concentration of chemical accumulated in their bodies. That is called as biological magnification. So here if you see, maximum concentration of such chemical get accumulated in human body as we are in the top level of any food chain. So this continuation we'll be seeing in the next video. Just go through the lecture. You can able to understand the overall view of the introduction part of this chapter. So biological magnification will be continued in the next session. Thank you.